By Ole Miss head baseball coach Mike Bianco, and Ole Miss coming off a weekend in which they lost all three games to the Florida Gators. And Coach, I'd love to start here. Last week when we talked, I think it was pretty clear that you weren't altogether pleased with the way your team had played in the road series against Vanderbilt. I know the results were the same in that you lost all three games this weekend. I'm just curious if you feel differently about how your team played this weekend.
Great question, and the answer is I thought we competed better. I think offensively, no doubt. Especially on Saturday in a doubleheader, we played better. Against their arms. They throw like Vanderbilt. There's three guys that come out of the gates for both teams that make life really hard for offenses, and I thought we did a pretty good job. On Saturday against Sproat and against Waldrop, and probably as good a job as anybody's done against them all year. Unfortunately, on the pitching side, it was a mixed bag where I thought we put ourselves in position to win that first game. We're 6-3 with 6 outs remaining, and we hand the ball off to the bullpen and then can't finish the game. And then almost the opposite in Game 2 on Saturday, where we just don't do a good job at the beginning out of the chute. Give them too many runs and not enough to come back offensively. Sunday again, I thought we pitched it better from the start, but then again can't get off the field enough times, and so just not good enough, not playing well enough. But I thought we competed better. I thought we were in the games, we had chances to win at least 2 of the games, and again didn't play well enough to do that, but much better than we did the weekend before.
It's rare in college baseball where we see a legitimate two-way player that has the ability to affect the game. You had one of those guys several years ago in Stephen Head. You played against one in Brendan McKay at Louisville a few years ago. We were talking earlier today about a few other of those guys, but Jack Caglione for Florida, my goodness. I mean, I was thinking back to that first game. Gonzalez hit 2 balls as hard as you can hit them to first base, and he makes incredible defensive plays, not to mention what he does with his bat and the arm. He's pretty unique, isn't he?
Without a doubt. Might be the scariest offensive player that we've seen all year. Just getting so many good swings off, and really after facing them for maybe 15 at bats, still don't know what the weakness is. Where it's almost pick your poison and hopefully you guess right at a certain time. But he handles the breaking ball, he handles the fastball away, he handles the fastball in, he handles changeups, gets a lot of great swings off, and like you said, nobody really talks about first base defense, but he was a game changer for him on Saturday. Diving at first base in the 4-hole down the line, made some super plays, and then he starts on Sunday. And although 8 walks, in which we had opportunities early to get a lead, we only get 1 hit off of him.
Mitch Morrell. I don't know what people expected from him going into the season. I'm not even sure what you expected from him. Has he surpassed your expectations in terms of what he's giving you out of the bullpen?
I always cringe when that question's asked. Has he surpassed your expectations? We certainly thought he'd be a piece and a valuable piece to the bullpen, but to this point, he's probably been arguably the best piece of the bullpen, and he's one of those guys that he has thrown the ball into the strike zone, which I think has been the biggest difference for him this year. Because he's always had the stuff. He's always had a low to mid-90s fastball. He's always had a breaking ball and a changeup, but he's putting himself in bad counts this year. He's putting himself in much better counts, and the breaking ball is legit. And one of the great things about Mitch is he's able to bounce back. He wants the ball every day, and thankfully for that we've been able to give it to him because we've needed every bit of it.
What did you think of Xavier Rivas yesterday in what he gave you? Ends up going 5 2/3, only gives up the 2 earned runs. I guess it was 4 runs total and threw 98 pitches, I think.
Yeah, really good. Disappointed that usually we're better defensively, and we drop a ball in the outfield, lose it in the sun. We miss a ball at third base and give up a couple unearned runs. And then with that, if we don't do that and add to his pitch count, not only do you knock 2 runs off the board, but he may get into the 7th. And I thought he was really good, and really his pitch pretty stellar the last 3 weekends. I mean, going back to the Purdue weekend, and he really had a rough first inning against Nebraska up in Minneapolis. After that, he kind of pitched well against a very good Nebraska team. So he's been by far the most consistent starter of the 3.
What did you think about Jack in the first game of the doubleheader? He's facing off against Brandon Sproat, who's coming off an unbelievable performance a week ago. Did you feel like Jack kind of gave you a chance and held his own?
No doubt, no doubt about it. And I kind of the performance that you're looking for out of Jack, and the cutter was much better. And like I said, in that first game, I mean, we're 6-3 in the 8th, with 6 outs to go with a 3-run lead, and I think that's the thing that gets forgotten in it. When you lose all 3, it's easy to feel sorry for yourself and wallow in your sorrow. But the truth of the matter is, that's a game you got to win. And, if you win that, maybe, things are different, either game 2 or game 3. And Jack, certainly starting off against a guy like Sproat that, throwing the ball 100 miles an hour, and offensively, like I said, I thought we had a terrific approach and, got him out of the game. And that's what you want to do. And I think Jack matched up well against him.
I know we talked last week about, when you have depth issues at a certain position in college baseball, it's not like you can go out and add somebody to your roster midseason, but you do have a couple of guys that are rehabbing and working toward. Can you give us any kind of an update on progress for Hunter Elliott as he works his way back, and then maybe also Riley Maddox?
Well, Hunter, is they're both on a throwing protocol, working their way back, doing great. Hunter, touched the mound today in a little short work. He's been, long tossing and kind of letting it, go about every other day with a day off, in between once a week. But he looks really good, looks strong, looks healthy, spinning his breaking ball today. Change up, everything looks really good. Probably mid-April, a few more weeks. He's got to get, next week he'll start throwing full bullpens. Then he'll throw to some live hitters, and then we'll see how that goes to where does that, fall, into the schedule, and when will he, be able to start a game for us. Maddox threw today for the first time off the mound 100%, so kind of the Tommy John, throwing protocol. It's really drawn out. And today, he's been throwing off the mound, but today was the first day he was allowed to throw it 100%, and he was up to 93 and felt good and looked good, and the movement is what it was last year. So he looks very similar, very healthy. He don't look for him to probably late April, early May.
This week, Southern Miss tomorrow night in Pearl, and second time you've played them, and then you got to go on the road this weekend to College Station. I guess kind of starting with tomorrow night, what's the plan on the mound? Is it one of those multiple guy nights, or obviously you'll end up throwing multiple guys, but kind of what's the plan going in?
Yeah, I think that's where we are on Tuesday. Is you look to see a bunch of guys throw, but we'll start with Sam Takoyan. Sam hasn't gotten a start yet, and a guy that's pitched well out of the bullpen. And he's had some rough spots as well. But he's a guy that deserves one of these starts, and so he's going to get that tomorrow night. But you'll see other guys that the normal bullpen guys that you've been accustomed to, and switching up the rotation this weekend where we'll see Jack again on Friday, but moving Rivas to Saturday and starting JT Quinn on Sunday. So that move puts Saunier into the bullpen, so Saunier could touch the mound tomorrow, and probably will touch the mound tomorrow out of the bullpen.
And then last thing, kind of a back against the wall type weekend for you and for Texas A&M to some degree. They've come in at 1-5, and you guys at 0-6. It feels like could be a really high stakes weekend. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but I also look at it as there's 80% of the conference games left, and you guys like to talk about backs against the wall and make or break weekends, and I think that's every coach I would imagine you ever ask that question to cringes when somebody asks them that question. We got to take care of tomorrow night. Once tomorrow night's taken care of, we need to worry about Friday night. I don't know about make or break. I think there's a lot of games left. We just need to start playing a little better baseball.
Maybe just an important weekend. How about that?
And I think they're all important, but you're right. Yeah, that's the most important because it's the next weekend.
Mike, thanks as always for your time.